Mikel.
Hello.
How's your luck? I don't know if you've broken a mirror or walked under a ladder recently, but another hamstring, another serious injury to a key player.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was a tough one to digest because we just got Bukayo back and then we lose Gabi. So it was tough. The team reacted like he has reacted all season. So really proud of that, and we know that he's going to be out for a while. So we need to find different solutions and keep competing the way we have been all season.
I know you said before you love the challenge of things like this, trying to work out a solution. It's the same yet again, I guess, this time.
Well, it has to be because we've come so far, and now we have the most important, beautiful part of the season, and we have to react to those things, you know. And that means that another players are going to have opportunities to play, and the team has to find other ways. And it is a big miss, undoubtedly, but we have the resources to cope with that.
And potentially even more difficulties in that area of the pitch in defence. How's Ricardo Calafiori, for example?
Yeah, Rick is not fit as well. That's mean because in the last week or so we lost 4 players, and that's obviously a big task. But let's see how Ben and Julian are tomorrow as well. And that's it. And keep playing and keep competing the way we have been.
So is there a chance as we speak now that Ben and Julian might be available?
Yeah, there's a chance, yeah.
And what if they're available, but it's a little bit of a risk with Real Madrid coming up? Would that be a factor in your decision making?
Yeah, the problem is that we have a few of those, so we're going to have to decide this evening or tomorrow very early in the morning which player we can play and for how long especially.
So, for example, you played Thomas Partey at right back previously this season. Kippy was available. Declan Rice started his career as a centre back. Are all these options? Well,
there are a few on the table. How far we have to go down that route? Hopefully, not that deep, but there are options always.
I don't know whether you saw Bukayo went on social media after making his comeback against Fulham, and he thanked the fans. He said that the energy and the love, he really felt it. He's never felt anything like it, and he'll never forget it. It shows how much it means to him to be playing again.
Yeah, well, it's like always, that through a difficult situation, a really nice one can appear. And I think all the hard work and all the difficult moments I had in the last 4 months, I think they were paid off just by receiving that love, that support, and that admiration from all our people.
He's desperate to play, that makes it clear, and we know that anyway. But again, with Real Madrid coming up, he played 20 minutes, I think, last time. Can he play the whole game at Goodison, or will he come in gradually?
Well, the only focus now is what we have to do against Everton. We know how tough that place is, and we have experienced it. And every team that goes there struggles. And tomorrow we're going to have to be really strong. So the best way to prepare Real Madrid is to win and play really well tomorrow.
You say you know how tough Goodison can be. You know that better than anybody. 6 years there, the final time you'll ever play a football match there. Just your feelings and reflections of the place.
Yeah, it will be very special. It's a lot of history as well between the clubs. I have my own personal story, which was a beautiful one, as well with a manager that just come back now and is doing extremely well. I'm so happy for the club, for David as well, because it's never easy to come back there for the second time. In my opinion, he was the manager, the person who lifted that club to a different level, and now he's in the journey to do it again once they move to a new stadium. So I think it's a really nice story.
You will, sure, get a warm welcome there. Do you think you'll get an extra special warm welcome tomorrow?
I think when it comes to competing, you know, they will defend their part, I will defend my part, but for me it's always very special to go back there.
I've got no supercomputer question today, but I've got a question about AI.
Okay.
And betting company has used AI to discover the top 20 best looking managers in the Premier League, so 20 through to 1. Not only you made the top 5, not only you made the top 3, you made the top 1. You are officially the best manager in the Premier League.
So my mum and dad should be very proud for the job that they did. Okay, that's good. Good to know. Okay, thank you.
How am I supposed to follow up after that? Well, Odegaard loves to play against Everton. He's been involved in 5 goals in his last 7 Premier League appearances against them. He's also got 3 assists. He's also got 3 assists in his last game for club and country. How well do you think he can actually benefit from a player like Saka being back? Of course, Saka provides you goals when he plays, but he actually impacts and elevates all the players around him as well.
Yeah, for sure. That chemistry, that bond, that relationship, it's something very special. Obviously, we missed it. They played so many minutes and games together. That flows naturally, flows in the right way. I think the qualities complement each other really, really well. And yeah, Martin has been exceptional again. The other day we have to play Ethan. He made the assist. He contributed in his own way. So we have options, and now hopefully we're going to have more and more from here to the end of the season.
Raya said, if you're enjoying what you're doing, the results will naturally come. I wanted to ask you how proud you've been of the environment and the camaraderie you've built, not just on the pitch, off the pitch, and with all the staff. Everyone consistently says, especially in like the tough times, the defeats, and with the long-term injuries, that's really what's bonded this club and made it even more special when they put on the kit to play.
Yeah, I can talk about what I've seen there, and the feeling that I have, me personally, every time I wake up in the morning, that I'm desperate to come through those doors and start to share our day with everybody, staff, players, and everybody around the club. And that's a privilege that's been built between all of us, and hopefully will be sustained for many years.
When someone asked you about tactics and formation before, you said it's not always just about the obvious tactics, it's about the implementation, the energy. You can be aggressive in a back five, playing a low block, you can be aggressive high up the pitch. How important are those behavioural elements when it comes to playing against a team like Everton? When we know how they play, we know what the atmosphere is going to be like at the stadium, but that imposing yourself on the game.
Exactly, I think that's the word, exactly, because they want to play a very different game to ours, and at the end, that's the challenge every time in the Premier League, how you take the game where you want and how you make that happen as often as you possibly can, and then it will be decided in the boxes where you have to be really strong.
Ian Talksport. Hi Mikel, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Can I first of all start by asking about Kevin Bruyne, who has announced this will be his last season in the Premier League. He's leaving Manchester City in the summer. You've obviously worked with him, you've obviously seen him from afar, you've had to put a team up against him. First of all, what has he brought to the Premier League? And secondly, in terms of greatest midfielders we've seen in the Premier League, where would you rank him?
Up there. I don't know if he's the one, the two, or the three, but for me, he's one of the best players in the history of the Premier League, without a question of a doubt. I never play with a player that can execute that precisely at high speed. He can be running at 33, 34 kilometers an hour and play the ball 30 meters through two people to the perfect spot. I haven't seen anybody else do that at that pace.
He also has a perfect temperament as well, doesn't he? I mean, in that respect, you've played with some great players during your playing career. Would you like to have played with him?
Yes, I would have loved, but I was lucky that I was part of a team that he was very much involved. And what I think it makes him special, apart from obviously that technical ability, is how strong he's here. Because Kevin, he always wants to take the risk. He's willing to make things happen. And when the things they don't go for him, he still continues to try it that way. And I think that has separated him from the rest.
You once said to me a few months ago that you would never give up on the title. I think your exact words were, over your dead body would you give up on the title. But this week, this specific week, the biggest game surely is Real Madrid and not Everton. Is that right or wrong?
No, that's wrong. For the biggest game for us is Everton. And the best way to prepare to Real Madrid is to do what we have to do to beat Everton.
Why is that?
Because this is football, it's an emotional game, and you have to continuously do what you have to do. And you cannot be thinking ahead. The competition, the level, how the teams are prepared is too big to think that way. You cannot allow yourself to think that way.
Okay, final one for me. You solved your striking problem by moving Mikel Moreno up front, and that proved to work. I've seen Declan Rice since the beginning of his career when he started at West Ham as a centre-half. I actually thought that's where he might end up playing. Would you consider...
So you were wrong.
Yes, I was.
For once.
That's why you're there.
Believe me, I've been wrong before more than once.
Okay, good.
But would you, if you needed to play in the centre-half, either Everton or more likely Real Madrid, would you do it?
We would, yeah, for sure. We tried against PSV away last season, and he's played in that position, and hopefully it won't be needed. But if it is, he's a player that is capable of doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George Bigson.
Mikel, hello. Sorry, can I just go back to these hamstring injuries? I know Arsenal have had 4, I think, this season, but it seems there's been 120 in the Premier League. So it seems like this is just a big, almost Premier League problem now, rather than specific to Arsenal. Is that how you see it?
No, I don't think it's specific to Arsenal, and it's a very difficult one to put a finger into just one motive that has caused that injuries, because we had 4, and the 4 of them are completely different. One is after 2 days off and a real light session stopping a shot. The other one is after 3 consecutive matches in December. The other one is after playing for Brazil and having a few days off, bring him down 2 good sessions and then play the first game. So we don't really know. We are doing all the research and trying to understand how we can bring that probability down as much as possible, but it's still a bit early.
Can you make any changes within Arsenal to try and reduce the load? Are you looking at maybe reducing training? Can you reduce it anymore just because the players are playing so many games?
We can do. The sample, I think, is very, very small, because last year we were the best team in that aspect. Continue with the same methodology and altering things. It's true that this season, the way we started with a really short squad, with some already injured players, some injured players in the first 2 international weeks, that really narrowed the team so much, put more load on players, but that's the context that we've been in.
And it does seem, though, with the hamstring injuries, that they are getting worse. Like Saka's been out for 3 months, Havertz is out for the end of the season. Is that something you're noticing and you're probably worried about? Did you want these players?
Yeah, because before it was, okay, 2-3 weeks, you could handle like this. When you're talking about months and surgery, that's obviously something very different.
Thank you. Tom for Border.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
In the Everton-Liverpool game in midweek, we saw quite a harsh challenge from James Tarkowski that became quite a big talking point. When you see a challenge like that, and you know you're playing that team next with such a big game after, does that ever factor in your mind when you have to make a selection decision?
No, because I think it's part of the Premier League as well, and when you see it's a certain angle, a certain speed, that tackle, you can have very different opinions. I think David explained it really well in his post-match interview. So it's part of the game. The referee is there to referee it, and probably as well the way we are looking at tackles compared to what we used to see before is a bit different as well.
And just on the hamstring stuff, I remember you were asked before, I think James Ollie asked you about training, and you said that there is really no time to train, and it's about training the muscle, and the muscle is what needs that exposure, and it's suffering so much because of that. Are we getting to a stage where players need to start making changes, making stances, saying that there's too much going on, there's too many games? Where do you see it going? Where's the breaking point?
Okay, let's see, because I think, as I said, I think the sample is still very small. The worry is that we're going to be playing more and more games by the way it looks, especially in the next 2 seasons. So, yeah, we're going to have to address a lot. I think players as well, they have changed their lifestyles a lot, so they are much more professional. The demands are there, but the thing is not going to change. The Premier League intensity is going to go higher. It's been much higher in the last 2 seasons in terms of a sprint. The peak is incredible, and it's going to continue to go that way. So we're probably catching up a little bit because we didn't expect that to grow that fast, but we have to adapt to it.
Jordan, pathetic. Okay, well, just on Gabriel, that partnership with Saliba has been so key for 3 years now. Often feels like Saliba, maybe a little bit more stylish, gets a lot of the praise. Do you think that Gabriel gets the credit he deserves for the job he's done?
Well, certainly with us, I don't know externally, but I think the best person to ask about Gabi is Willie, because that's a partnership. And when you ask Willie who does he want to play next to him, I think the answer is clear, because he brings qualities and especially I think he makes his qualities much better.
We hear how vocal Gabriel is as well. We can sometimes hear him in the stand as well. Maybe saves you a job, but how much will that, will you need other people to step up and be the sort of leader on the pitch?
Yeah, that's what we need to do. I mean, when we lose a voice, a leader, a presence like him, we need to step up, and one player is not going to be able to do exactly that, and you cannot demand that. So between all of us, we have to do it.
Just wanted to ask you, I don't know whether you've seen Stina Blackstenius' comments after the game during the week, but he was complimenting your team's defensive structure, saying it's almost like someone's controlling the team from the sky. There's just no space to break through you. I guess, is that the sort of best compliment that you could hope to receive for your team? And what does that say about them, that they're still so solid?
Well, yes, because obviously at the end the opposition and the players are the best ones to judge how they feel on the pitch. So it's a really nice compliment for the team. It talks about as well the effort that the boys put in that organization and how much they feel it, because without feeling it you cannot do it at the level that we are able to do it. So it's always good to hear those comments.
Okay,
last couple in the live section. Firstly, Phil from PA.
Hi, Mikel. Just going back to Bukayo, do you feel as though he needs to start tomorrow so he has those minutes under his belt before Madrid?
Yeah, that's a possibility. We're going to decide tomorrow what's the best option for that, because it's not only him involved. We have a lot of pieces to move and some players that they're not going to be able to finish the game. So it's a lot to decide.
I suppose following up on what Tom asked earlier, is there, on the flip side, is there ever a sort of need to feel as though you need to recommend Kosovo not playing, or is that just off the table?
Sorry, I missed that.
Is it feeling as though you don't want to play him, just sort of wrap him up in Kosovo ahead of Madrid? Or is that just off the table?
He needs exposure, and he's going to have the exposure, and he played 30 minutes the other day. He felt really well. He scored a goal, and he wants more. It's clear, and in the last 2 days, he is demanding more, and he wants more. So that's a good sign.
Okay, finally one in Spanish for TV in the live section.
Hi, Mikel. I can ask in English. No problem. First time you use Mikel Merino as a striker, he scored twice against Leicester, but he said that he didn't expect to play again as a number 9. Since that, he scored 5 goals as a number 9. How did you convince him to keep playing as a 9, and how are you going to convince him to come back, maybe to play in the midfield, as he said? That
I already done that, because I played him as an 8 the other day when we brought Leo in, and we discussed that. He's a joy to work with, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring him to the club, because he's so versatile, he's very intelligent, and he loves the game, and he loves to understand the game and the reason why we ask certain players to do what we want them to do. And Mikel understood it immediately, explaining his qualities, what the team needs in that moment, and how he can benefit from being in those positions. And demanding that the role he can do as a 9 with his qualities, not comparing to anybody else, and judge his performances on that basics. And since then, I think he's been really good.